Okay, so let's look at this Ross homework for chapter 8. Any questions about the A section here? Section A.
Number 3, sir.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I didn't necessarily know how to translate that.
Are you talking about B or A?
On A section, sir.
Okay.
The word servants.
Uh-huh. You mean you weren't sure how to translate that into Hebrew?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. What's the first thing we need to do when we have to do this? We have to find the Hebrew word for what?
Servant.
Servant, singular, right? We want to start with the singular form because that's the form you learned, right? What's the word for servant? Eved, good. So let's just jot down Eved to start with. What kind of a noun is that, by the way?
Singular.
It is a singular noun, so it's got first syllable stress, double single, right? Isn't that pretty? All right. Now it's servant, so one thing I have to do is figure out what plural ending I need to add in Hebrew. Can I just add an S in Hebrew and that'll make it plural? That'd be nice, wouldn't it? Just stick a somic at the end of everything. It'd be Evid's. That doesn't work though, does it? So what do I have to add? What are my two possibilities? Okay, yeah. So, hey, let's just review our endings. It's 0, and then sometimes im, and oath, right? So those are my possible endings for things. Here, we want to use one of the plural endings. So we're gonna use im or oath. So is Eved masculine or feminine? Masculine. So which one of these do we want to use? Im or oath? We want to use im, right? So I'm going to stick the Keurig under the Dalet, Yod Mem, right here. But then, can my singular nouns retain the stress and the vowel pointing once I make them plural? No. Remember, the vocalic endings im, and oat are the big kid at the end of the tug-of-war line that always pulls everything to the end. And so we're going to lose the stress because we're now going to stress the ending. And that means I'm going to have some vowel changes right here. So what's the vowel pattern going to be under the first two consonants here? It's going to be vocal shiva and kamet. Okay? Remember, we're following the pattern of davar when we make it plural. Devarim. Okay? Vocal shiva kamet. Davar becomes deva. Ava. Now, under normal circumstances, that would be perfectly fine. No more accent mark, but I've got one last problem here. Yes, I have a vocal shiva under a guttural. Does ayin take vocal shivas? Cannot do that. So which kind of compound shiva will I expect to find under an ayin? Yeah, the A-class one. So I'm going to see that. Oops. Try to make that look like it's not part of the dot there. So there. So that's what I have to see. Okay? So avadim. Avadim. So that's how you do it. Okay? Avadim. Eved, one servant. Avadim, plural servants. Okay? All right. Other questions?
Yes, sir. Again, for me, I had trouble translating number 6, books.
Yep. So what we have to do is find the singular form in Hebrew, which is what? Sefer. Right, good. And is sefer a normal noun or a segulate noun? It's a segulate noun. Accent on first syllable in the singular, right? Sefer. Sefer. Remember our little mnemonic device for remembering that this word means scroll or book? You are always safer if you live by the book. Okay? Sefer. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to add a plural ending, right? Because this isn't singular but plural. Which ending should I add to safer? We're going to add eam, okay? We'll assume that we've got a masculine noun here unless we're told otherwise. So add eam, but since these vocalic endings like ah, eam, and ot pull the stress to the end, singular nouns in the plural are no longer committed to first syllable stress. And we're going to change the vowel pointing here. What vowel pointing do we change to? Root 1 gets what? A vocal shava. Root 2 gets a comet, right? All singular nouns are going to do this when they turn plural. Okay? Vocal shava under the first root consonant, comet under the second one. Is there a guttural above this vocal shava? No. Then can I leave it there? Perfectly good. So safarim. So first syllable stress, everybody. Safer.
Safer.
Plural, safarim.
Safarim.
With servant, avid.
Avid.
But avadim.
Avadim.
In the plural, we stress the F. Okay? Same thing with kings, right? Kings is a singular noun. Melech. In the singular, what's the plural going to look like? Yeah. M, la, and then the kaf has to become non-final, right? Malachim. Malachim. Do I need to write that down? You guys know how to do that. All right. Any other questions about these?
Actually, I was
Number 12. Okay. The elders.
yeah. I just got a little confused as to why because I thought hopefully I'm thinking of the right thing. The Shavah was supposed to go under the Kof, but instead it was under the Zion.
Okay. Yeah. Here, let's write this down. What is the singular form of elder? Za. Okay. Right. So it looks like that. Zakain. Okay, good. Now, just thinking about the syllable structure here. First syllable is za, right? Second is kain. Is za open or closed?
Open.
Kain,
Close.
which one's tonic? Kain, good. And za is pre-tonic. Excellent. Now, I have to do a couple of things here, right? First of all, I've got an S at the end, so I need to make a plural form. And I also am going to have to stick an article on the front, right? Okay, so is Zakain here masculine or feminine? It's masculine. It's got no ending, right? So if I want to make it plural, I'm going to have to add what ending? Eem. Now notice, what kind of a noon is this at the end of the word? It's final. Once I add eem, can this stay final noon? No. So we have to modify it to the non-final form. So that's one of the first things we have to do, which will confuse you a little bit just from the standpoint that it's not looking exactly like what you're starting with. So just, you gotta in your mind make the final noon and the non-final noon interchangeable. Like you see them both, they are the same thing, right? Same sound. It's just a matter of position. Okay, so I'm going to add eem here. Where's my stress going to go? It was on this syllable kain, but what's going to happen when I add eem? Yeah, the stress will go to the new vowel. And is noon going to close the syllable or open a new vowel here? Or open a new syllable? It's going to open a new syllable, right? Because every vowel needs a consonant to lead it in a new syllable. So if I were to divide, I'd divide right there, right? So this is tonic now, and this is no longer closed, it's open. This is no longer tonic, but pre-tonic. Now what does Hebrew require for open pre-tonic syllables? Long. Is Sari long? Very good, so I'm not going to have to change anything. This is still open, but it's not pretonic anymore. It's propertonic. And what does Hebrew do with those? Reduces them to vocal shava. So I have to change that kametz to a vocal shava. Okay. Now, that's just the word elders. I have one more thing to do, don't I? Got to add the to it. So, what do I add? Ha. Hey. What's underneath? Bathak. What goes in here? A dagesh forte. Okay? So it's ha zakinim. Ha zakinim. Ha zakinim. Okay? Eliza, does that make sense? Good? All right. Good. Others? Yep. Number 14. Okay. We can. So we have from Judah. What do we have to do first? Well, you got to find Judah, right? You have to go back to your vocab, write it down exactly the way you see it. Yehuda. Tell me about the Shavah here under the Yod. It is vocal. Excellent. And we're going to use the word or write the word from. Now, there's two ways to do this, right? Let's do it the sissy way first. Yeah? Men. And what is that called? A makef. That's it. You're done. Too easy, right?
Is that okay?
Min Yehuda. No. It is totally unacceptable. Only the Masoretes who dropped out of school did it this way. No. So so this is the easy way to do it. But you can also attach it inseparably, which I jokingly refer to as the Marine Corps way because it's harder. And my best man in my wedding was a Marine, so he is a Marine. You know, you never stop being a Marine even when you get out, right? So anyhow, what would have happened here? Well, the noon would assimilate, right? You take the mem and the Keurig, the noon would become a doubling dot here, right? So me Yehuda. Okay. So what happens at this point? Okay, yeah, there's a couple of things that happen here, okay? We talked about Squinum Levy, also known as Skinum Levi, right? What are the consonants that are Squinum Levy consonants? Starting on the back, Yod, Vav, Lamed, Mem, Nun, Kof, and the S is not a single consonant, but the sibilants, okay? The ones that hiss, Samic, Sin, Sheen, so forth. Okay, so what's the deal with Squinum Levy letters? If you try to put a Dagesh forte in them and a vocal shava under them, which one frequently loses? The Dagesh forte will drop out, okay? And when that does, that's what happens here, because Yod is a Squinum Levy letter, right? So the Dagesh forte will not be written anymore. It will fall out. And then, without that Dagesh forte, this vocal shava, remember, anytime you have a shava under a Dagesh forte, it's vocal, right? But without that Dagesh forte, it's now silent. And now I have me with no vocal sound. Me, da. And this is the perfect scenario for the Hebrew love story to happen, where the Keurig sees the Yod with no shava sound under it and says, hey, let's reunite and become a couple again. And the Yod will fall out because, the shava will fall out because the Yod quiesces, and there will not be any vowel pointing under it. It will be a Keurig Yod. So this is what happens here. So it becomes mihuda. Now, if you know the word Yehudah, and you should know this word as well as you know the word Yisrael, right? If you know the word Yehudah, then you're going to see this mem prefix on the front of it. There's only one thing you know right now that a prefix mem can do, right? It's the word from. Sometimes with the noon, sometimes the noon's missing and there's a doubling dot. And then on very rare occasions like this, it's caused the y to become a yod with a silent shva, and then it's quiesced. Okay? This isn't very frequent, so it's not really, I didn't even focus on it in my lesson, but be aware of it. I don't think I ever asked you to produce this form in any test or anything like that, but if you know Yehudah, you know that mem doesn't belong there, so it must mean something, right? And it's the preposition mem. So from Judah. All right, good question. All of these are good questions. So, any other questions? I'm more than happy to talk about these.
I have a question on number 4. Since gold is a collective noun, is it okay if you put the article before?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think I just put mizahav, right?
Yeah.
So this is the Marine Corps way of doing it. Mizahav, Dagesh Forte. What does that Dagesh Forte represent? It's the assimilated noon, right? The noon became a Zion, right? And so we're writing the Zion twice. The Borg problem. How many of you have no clue what I'm talking about when I talk about the Borg problem? Be honest. You have never heard of the Borg?
You mean like Star Trek?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Good.
I thought you really.
So the Borg problem happens here, right? So the noon assimilates to a Zion here, and so we write the Zion just once with a doubling dot. Okay, so, but if we want to say hazahav, we'd have to put the min on the outside of that. Oops. So, hazahav is hey, pathak, doubling dot, right? And then the min, the Marine Corps way would have looked like this. Me hazahav with the dagesh forte. Is that okay? Nope. Can't do that, right? So, reject the dagesh forte. What happens to the short kirik? It compensatorily lengthens to a seri. So that's one way to do it. Me hazahav, from the gold or from gold. If I did this the Sissi way, what would I do? We just put min and a makef here, right? Men hazahav. All right, good.
Question.
Yes.
So in that case, wouldn't the rule for implied doubling work for K instead of putting again 4 days? The implied doubling is like, there's no against 4 days.
Right. Yes. In some circumstances, when you want a doubling dot and the hay rejects it, you have implied doubling. But as a matter of fact, the Masoretes chose, well, they're reflecting the vocalization that they had, and in their vocalization tradition, they actually pronounced that vowel long. So they did lengthen it, and so it wasn't implied doubling. Yeah. All right, great. Other questions here? Shall we look at the translations? What questions do we have about this? Mm-hmm.
Could it also be like in the temple is gold and silver?
In the temple is gold and silver. That is a possible way to translate this. What's the subject of this sentence, do you think? Yeah, so this is a compound subject, and I'm having to supply the copula, right? So I think typically in English, we're going to put our subject first. So even though it is possible to translate it the way you did, to put the predicate first, it doesn't have to be that way. And I would just as well keep the subject first as it is in Hebrew here, which is the most normal way to do it in Hebrew. Any other questions on the translations? All right, if you don't have questions, I'll work through a couple of these with you just to review and drill in some things. All right? Let's look at number 1. I'll have you repeat after me. Ha'anashim v'hanashim b'Yisrael. Now you say this without me. Ready? Go. All right, good. Let me just review a couple of things with you. Tell me the names of the letters, consonants. Ready? Go.
A, Aleph, Nun, Shin, Yod, Mem, Vav, He, Nun, Shin, Yod, Mem, Bet, Yod, Sin, Resh, Aleph, Lamed.
Good. All right, so do we have a verb in number 1? No? No. So where are we going to insert our verb? We need to add a copula somewhere after our subject. This is a compound subject here, right? What's this mean? Ha'anashim v'hanashim? The men and the women. And we're going to put our copula here. Are b'Yisrael, in Israel. Good. Over here, number 2, everybody say this. Hasfarim babayit. And is there a verb here? Nope. These are nouns, prepositional phrases, right? So we're going to add our copula, probably between them. What's Hasfarim? Ah, are you sure it's not the book? Yes, we have an em ending here, right? That tells us this is plural. So good. So the books are not in a house. Ah, the hay sandwich has been swallowed, huh? What's that? The pathak, doubling dot? This is the remnants of the article. Hey, that's right. What would I expect if it were just in a house? Buh. Yeah, and that Dagesh Lane would go bye-bye. Bye-bye. All right, good. Number 3, everybody. Halahu. Ha'avadim. Buh. And how do I say the rest of this? You sure it's not buh hakama? There's no metheg. If there's no metheg, it's a short O, right? If it's short, that shiva is silent. So good. So buhokma. All right. Do I have a verb in this sentence? Hallelujah. There's a verb, which means that this might be the subject, right? Is this a plural verb? What does it mean? They walked. So the subject's got to be a kind of they, right? Which means I'd be looking for a plural noun if I had an explicit subject. Is that plural? Yes. Em ending, right? So maybe subject. We'll have to try it on for size. What's ha'avadim? Is it just servants? It's the servants. Halahu? Walked. Remember, I'm going to translate the subject first, even though it comes second in Hebrew. So the servants walked, and then what's that mean? In wisdom. They walked in wisdom. Or it could mean they walked with wisdom. Remember, the bet could also be translated as with. All right, good. Efo. Hana'ar. Notice my accent mark here, right? What's that accent mark called? Anybody remember? Yeah. Think the insurance company. Aflac, right? Aflac. Well, I just have to say Aflac, and I sound like Aflac, right? Because of my voice. So that is a strong accent mark, and that means that my first syllable on this noun is stressed. What kind of a noun is this? Segulate. What's the non-negotiable characteristic of a segulate noun in the singular? First syllable stress. We usually see that accent mark there, right? But remember, the Masoretes didn't use that accent mark. They like to use these other ones, like the saluk over here, right, which is that vertical line, or the athnak over here. So just realize that is an accent mark, and that's stressing the first syllable. No, it's not the first syllable of the form, because this noun isn't just the noun, is it? This whole form is the noun plus what?
The article.
The article. So when I add the article, I'm not going to stress the article, right? So just remember, it's the segulate noun. The noun has first syllable stress on the noun part in the singular. Okay? What's a na'ar? Ooh. Is this river? Or lad? Yes. The word for river is close. It's nahar. Where's the accent on river? It's on the final syllable. Nahar. Nahar. This is na'ar. Na'ar. Okay, so what's a faux hana'ar mean? Where is the lad? No verb, right? My copula is missing. I'm going to stick it in here. Where is the lad? And then I have the answer. Everybody, hu v'toch ha'am. What does who mean? He. V'toch? In the midst of. This whole thing means in the midst of. Okay? We're going to learn why this became what it did in chapter 12. But what's the lexical form, the vocabulary form of toch? It's tavich. Tavich. Okay? And that means midst. And the accent is here. So tavich. Tavich. So when I want to say the midst of something, I'm going to slap it next to another noun, and it's going to lose its stress and undergo this change and become toch. Okay? So if I didn't have b, if I just had toch ha'am, that by itself would mean what? Just toch ha'am means it's just the midst of. Okay? Now you might be wondering, well, why are you saying the? There's no article on toch, right? This is a special construction where these two nouns go together. And in Hebrew, you can't put the article on the first one. And again, we'll learn this in chapter 12. But if the second noun has the article, then I'm going to translate both of them as definite. So it's the midst of the people. Okay? Now, I can put other prepositions on toch besides b. So b'toch, in the midst of. But what if I had mitoch, men added? It would be from the midst of. So he ran mitoch ha'am. He ran from the midst of the people. Maybe they're chasing him. Right? Okay. So, good. Anybody have any other questions about these sentence translations? By the way, someone asked about 7. I don't think we specified here, but just tell me, is this in a temple or in the temple? Are you sure that's in the temple? Is this the article hey right here? Are you sure that's not the article hey? Does the article hey ever have a sere? No. What are the vowels that the article hey could have? Pathak, kamet, segol. Never sere. So what's this hey doing here? It is part of the word. That's right. So don't try to analyze that as something it's not. Okay? So where's the article? There's no doubling dot here. Ah, that's right. You can't put one there, right? Because hey is a gut. We hate Hebrew's guts, don't we? Doesn't behave. But the article hay's pathak is still here after the hay's been swallowed. So yes, in the temple. Good. And then here's that situation where we had the Hebrew love story, right? I should have had Yehudah, and the bet with its vocal shavah comes next to a yod with its vocal shavah. Red Rider first shoots out an eye. This becomes silent. The silent yod, the yod with the silent shavah, is just as pronounced just the same as a Keurig yod, isn't it? Bihudah, bihudah, and so it quiesces, and it just becomes that. So let's just say this: Adonai b'toch ha'am, hu bihudah. Okay, so how would I translate this? The Lord is, I've got to supply that, there's no verb here, is in the midst of the people. He is in Judah. Exactly. He is in Judah. I got to supply the copula here too. No verb anywhere in these two clauses. Okay. Any final questions? Yes, Kyle.
Is there a reason why that we would know in number 1, Israel doesn't become Bisrael with the bait?
Oh, yeah, over here. Okay, yeah. So if I don't have the bet at all, the word is just Yisrael, right? So I'm just starting with a Keurig. If it were yeah and B in front, then I'd have to change that. But here, there's no reason to change it. It just stays vocal shavah. Yeah, good question. All right.